Hello everyone, welcome to STK's Academy. This is part 2 of our real estate website. In the previous part, we created this beautiful section. Now let's move to our second part and see what we are going to build. So in the second part, as you can see, we have one video player which expands as we scroll, as well as you can see there is a continuous running title that goes around it. And in this part, we will also create these beautiful cards that comes up, and on hover of those card, as you can see, the details come up, and as well as the image scales up inside the card itself. So we will also add this animation, as well as you can see as the user scrolls, the new card appears, like the fade in animation appears for this card. So we will also add that animation for this section as well. So let's just move ahead and create this. So let me go into my VS Code and let's start building our video player first. So now I am in my corridor. Before creating our section 2, let's first add an animation. So as you can see, you have also seen in the video, as soon as the user is scrolling down, the upper section itself is scaling a bit down, and as soon as you go up, it just again scales up. So it kind of gives a good user experience. So let's just start adding that scaling down and scaling up functionality, so that when we create our other section as well, we will just use those in our same the same scaling up and scaling down there as well. So let me quickly start creating it. Okay, so yeah, so first for this, we want each. So let's say first we have our home section 1, then we will have our home section 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutively for the whole website. So in our the home section 1 will scale down as we scroll towards home section 2. So for this, what we need to do then, we will quickly first import the motion. So let me quickly import motion from Framer Motion, because that's how we will get our animations. And let's first start using references. So how we will achieve this is, we will use we will use one hook called useRef hook. So whenever we want to get any specific scroll position of any div element, or any other specific values out of a element in an HTML DOM, we can use a useRef hook, and then for whatever element we want the HTML properties, we can just pass that ref to it. So anywhere in our React app, then anywhere in our React, in that specific component, we can get those values and manipulate it as and when we need it. And then there is also one hook known as useScroll, which is provided by Framer Motion. So useScroll actually, as soon as the user scrolls, it gives you the progress, the y progress or the x progress that the user is scrolling in. So, and using our ref and using our scroll y progress is how we are going to achieve that scaling up and scaling down functionality, using another hook called use transform hook, which is also provided by Framer Motion, and it will help us to get that animation. So let me, this was just an overview, so let's just first code it, and while coding I will also explain what I'm doing. So first I will create one ref1, which will be, and we will use our useRef hook, which comes from React itself, and initially we will just mark it as null. Then what we can do is we can go ahead and get our scroll y progress from our use scroll, which is coming from our Framer Motion. So we'll get it from our Framer Motion. And use scroll hook, like we can pass it a target value, that for this reference, like go ahead and give me the scroll y progress of this reference that I want. So what I will do is, for target ref1, you just go ahead and give me the scroll y progress that is going on. So this will go ahead and give me that. Once I have it, what I can do is, because now once I have the scroll y progress, I want to scale up and scale down depending on it. So what I can do is, I will use another hook called use transform. So let's just use first, because we are scaling up and scaling down, so I'm just renaming it to scale. Let me just name it as scale 1. So for this scale 1, go ahead and give me the use scroll hook, sorry, the use transform hook, which is coming from Framer Motion itself. So we have our use transform, and inside this we will go ahead and pass our scroll, because use transform needs the first value for which you want to do this. So for scroll y progress, what we want to do is we want to so let's say from 0 to 1, because as soon as it comes into view we want it to go from 0 to 1, and from 1 to 0.2. so if it's already open and if the view is already there of section, let's say for section 1 the view is there, but as soon as you are moving to section 2, that's when you are moving from 1 to 0.2, that we want to just scale it down as soon as the user is moving. So from 0 to 1 is when you are coming to the, and 1 to 0.2 is when you are going out of the view. So this will help us to achieve that. And let me just go ahead and rename this scroll y progress to scroll y progress 1 actually, so just to keep all the naming conventions same. This is also a neat trick that you can use in your whenever you know you have to use, let's say scroll by progress is something that comes from use scroll. So if I want to use multiple use scroll hooks, I will get scroll by progress, but everyone will have the same naming as scroll by progress, but we want to use scroll by progress 1 for one another thing, scroll by progress 2 for another thing. So for that what you can do is, this is how you can assign like a renaming kind of a thing that you can do inside the destruction of the object that we are doing. So yes, this is how you can you can rename the destructured object and use it anywhere you want. So now we have our values. We can quickly go inside our app, because we want to first add it to our home section 1. So first let's use our motion.dev, because we want to animate that section. So we have our motion.dev, and then we will also pass, because we want this because when you scroll, what you want is we want the whole scroll, we need the full scroll out of it, like as the user is scrolling, we need to know that there is something to scroll first. So for that reason what we can do is, the upper motion.dev that we have will pass a ref to this, ref1 to this. So this is the one which is the reference that we are passing, that for this for this motion.dev element, whenever the user scrolls, give me the positions out of it. And then inside this we will just place our home section 1. Okay, so we got our reference. Now we want to add animation to our home section 1, so we will need one more motion.dev for this, and inside this is where our home section 1 will reside for now, and this is where we will go ahead and add our animation. So I will just go ahead and I want to change the scale, and what the scale that is needed is the scale 1, which will be coming from use transform from 1 to 0.2 or 0.1, the values that will come, and according to those values he needs to scale it up and down. So this is where our animation will happen, and this is where the reference will talk about because and one question that you might have, that can't we directly pass this reference to our motion.dev, which where the scaling is happening. So the thing is, whenever scaling happens, so let's say if I have a view, and then let me just quickly show you, let me first load this and then explain it that way. That would be much easier for you to understand this. So we have this, then we will also so for now, because we want to see something scroll, because currently in this view we didn't have anything to scroll, so we won't be able to see the actual scrolling. So let's just go ahead and add this same element, home section 1. So we are just copying to home section 1 so that we have something to scroll down to. Now let's just go ahead, let me reload it. Yep. So as you can see now, because we have copied the same home section 1 2 times, so we have something to scroll down below. So let me scroll this. So as you can see, as I am scrolling, it's just going scaling down, and as I'm going up, see, it's scaling up. And let me now quickly move to my editor. So here the thing is, we added this home section 1 so that we get the scroll for this, and this scale 1 is actually coming from our use transform, and this ref that we are passing to our upper motion.dev, where we have all of this section. So the question was, so the thing that comes to the mind is, instead of adding this extra motion.dev and ref, can't we just directly use it here inside this? So the problem that would arise with this is, because we are actually animating this element, and by animating we are actually scaling it down and scaling it up. So the thing that happens with scaling is, as soon as you start to scroll, this scale itself is like you are scaling it down. So when you scale it down, your actual the DOM, the scroll bar that is calculated needs to be fixed, because then only the proper animation that you are able to see will happen. In other case, if you scale it down, this scroll bar might also change according to your view, because this scrolls down, this will take more space, and your scroll bar itself will like the browser itself will not correctly render it, and due to that there will be abrupt changes, and it would just abruptly change your view. So we can also see this in action. Okay, let me quickly copy this, add it to the same scale, and let us just remove this upper motion.div that we have. Now let's just see what actually happens in this case. As you can see, because initially itself it has as you can see, there is this abrupt change that happens. This is because you are scaling up and down, and the browser is not correctly able to render the scale out of it. So that's why this abrupt change is there. So let us just go ahead and add that extra motion.div and add the reference to that div. So now let me just go ahead and reload this as well. And now if I scroll it down, you can see it properly works, because I have an upper like a motion.div like the reference on an upper div element, which is not actually scaling up or down. It's just a fixed set. It's taking like the full width and the height of the screen, and it won't abruptly change, or there won't be any scaling for the browser to do. It's just a fixed set of width. That's why it's properly able to manage, and the scaling and everything happens only inside that only inside the element that we have created. And so the animation works very smoothly in this case. So that's how you are able, and this is user experience wise like pretty awesome. So you can also use this in many of your personal projects as well, that you create the portfolio projects, and this will like stand you out in your resume as well. So now as this is created, let's just go ahead and start with our section 2 as well. And we will start with our video container first, and then we will add that the continuous scroll that is happening above it. Let's move on. Let us just quickly open my VS Code. Yep. So now for our video section, let me bring the UI here. Yep. So this will be our home section 2. Inside this we have these two small icons that we have. Then we have this full video that is playing, and there is this text which is continuously moving above it, like in horizontal direction, is just moving continuously above the video that is playing there. So yeah, this will be a pretty easy one, because we just need to take a full video and use our position absolutes to properly adjust this text as well as this icons there. And we will use motion framer motions, the animation from 100% to -100% to get the linear flow and we will just add one property of repeat on transition, which will help us to add that continuously moving text effect that we want for this. So yeah, so moving to my code editor quickly, and let's start by creating our home section 2. So in my source I will create one home section2.js. Let me use the extension to get our basic React function, import of React, as well as creating this function and export it. So we have our home section 2 here. So in our home section 2 we have one. So let's first start with creating the video first. So what we can do is, inside this div we will simply have our video tag. We will have source, and in source I just added one in our public file. I have added one simple video of from Dubai. I just downloaded it from any of the Unsplash or random free video libraries out there. You can download it and use it. So as I said, if you want to use anything, any source or any PNGs or any MP4, what you can do is you can add that inside your public folder and directly use it anywhere in your project that you want to use. So we'll just quickly use our Dubai_2.mp4. So we have passed our source to our video. Once this is passed, now in our video, in the video tag, we need to pass one property as muted, which needs to be set to true. This is something that Chrome browser has now mandated for any of the videos. We have to pass it initially when it loads. If you are using an autoplay tag, which we will be using for our video, we have to pass this muted as true. And if the user wants to unmute or anything, then we can give that controls to the user. In our case, we don't want to give any controls or anything as such to the user. So, and we want it to autoplay. Plus, what we can let's just add some more thing, that when the user actually scrolls to that page, let's play the video then, and if he moves out of it, let's pause it. That's not the functionality that was in the UI, but yeah, it's pretty fun to use as well, as a user experience wise. It also increases the user experience. Plus, as a learning wise, you will be able to understand how actually references, and this is the place where references will play a major role in this case, because now you have to have the reference of your video tag, so that when the user scrolls down to the page, at that moment of time you want to play the video, and when he moves out from there, you need to pause it. And here you will also learn about something called as intrinsic observer. So it's called, sorry, the intersection observer, which actually helps us to know when the div element is properly in the view or not. So you would be able to pass it a threshold value of like 50%, 60. You can pass it anywhere how you want it, and that would help you to get that intersection from there and play the video. So we will code that up, and at that time I will explain it a bit more. This was just an overview of that. So okay, let's first complete this video tag one. So we have our muted property, we have our source property. We want to continuously loop this, so let's just pass loop, which will by default true. Let's give this for home section 2, because anyhow we don't have as much CSS that is going to play in this section. There is only just one animation that is going to play. So let's just use inline styles here. I don't think so we need to create one different CSS file. It's a good practice to do that, but for this current purpose, I don't think so we need to create a different CS and all. We will just use simple inline CSS for this. So we can just go ahead and add our styles inside here. So we'll just use our object fit property. So we want our object fit to be cover, so that it expands to our width and height that we actually give it, without breaking down any pixels or anything. So we will use our width, I want it of 100%. I want the height to be of 98 view height. I am passing this as a because we want the full page height, which is usually 98 view height, is what minusing the padding that we give of 10 px. So 98 view height is like the general page size that goes on the browsers. So we will go ahead with this height, and let's just add a border radius to our video itself. So I will keep it 22 px as our border radius. So we have our video tag in place. Let's just call this home section and see what we have in the screen first, and then we will go ahead and add other things as well. Let me import this home section 2, and let me quickly go ahead and open our, yes, so here is my, let me reload it. Okay, and here we have our video. Okay, so it's not playing, so let's just add the autoplay tag for this. In my home section 2, we can just go ahead and add one autoplay. So by default, then it will take it as a true, and let me reload it. And now as you can see, it has autoplayed the video from here directly here. It has that border radius that we added, and it, because it's in a loop, then it will continuously go on for continuously loop in. Now we can just go ahead and add that functionality of intersection observer, so that we are able to pause it and play it as soon as the view is in there, instead of continuously just playing it again and again. So now we will go ahead and create our reference variable for our video. So because the play and pause are the properties of our video tag that needs to be manipulated using our intersection observer that we are going to use. So that's why we'll create one reference, and then use that reference to play and pause our video. So we can just quickly go ahead and create one const. Let's name it as video ref, and we will use our user ref hook. Initially it will be null, and then we will just assign this, we will just get this value from here. So now our video tag has the reference of our video ref, so we can, you know, inside the intersection observer, depending on its is intersecting property, we can use and go ahead and play and we can manipulate the play and pause values of the video tag that we have. So now let's just quickly go ahead and create one use effect hook. So we are creating this use effect hook so that as soon as the user has loaded our website, so as soon as he visits it, we want to continuously observe if the user has actually come to our video section, because initially he will be on home section 1. Now we want to check if the user is like 50% of home section 2 is visible, then at that moment we will go ahead and start playing the video. And if it's less than 50%, or he's in home section 1, then at that moment we will not it will be just in a pause state. And because we want to observe only once, we will pass an empty dependency array inside this, because we only want to observe once. We don't want to continuously observe if the user is re-rendering it or anything. We just wanted to assign it once and let it observe till the user is using the app. Okay, so once we have this, we can just go ahead and create our observer first, so which will be nothing but our new intersection observer. Inside this we will get entries of intersection observer that we have. So it will provide us with intersection observer object, an array of intersection observer object, which contains values like is visible, the element which is observing. So it gives us values like if the element is visible or if it's intersecting. So is intersecting is a value which actually comes up depending on the threshold value that you pass. So here we also need to pass some threshold value. So we can just go ahead and for in this case I will be passing threshold as 0.5. so this 0.5 is tells us about, so this 0.5 actually means that when the 50% of our the element that needs to be observed is visible, or is like 50% of it is in there in view, at that moment the its intersecting property becomes true. So that's why we are using this threshold value. Now we can just go ahead and get one entry out of our entries. So we'll just quickly go ahead and get our 0th entry, because we are only we are only observing single element. So anyhow, because if in the case where we are observing multiple elements, our entries would have given us multiple results for those many elements that we are observing. But in our case, because we are observing only one single video tag, the single video element we are observing, that's why we know that the 0th one will always be our video elements details that we want. So once we have our entry, we can just quickly go ahead and check if entry is intersecting. If it's intersecting, then just go ahead and use our video ref dot current dot play. So this will go ahead and play our video. Else we can just pause it. So let me just copy this line. Else if it's not intersecting, just go ahead and pause this. So this is our play and pause logic for our video ref. If it's 50% in view, or if it's 50% in the visible region. So now let's get our video element on which we want to actually now we have our observer, so we need to observe it, right? So first we will get our because we want to do this on our video tag. So actually we will not go ahead and do this on video tag. So because there might be a case, usually what happens is your video tag might have some different width and height, and it might go out of bound with the way the CSS play. You might place it somewhere else in the div. In this case, because this is a very simple case that we are trying, where we are giving it like a full height and width, but there might be some cases where you are manipulating this width and height, and it might and using position absolute or somewhere, you are just placing it somewhere below, or towards the right or left. So in that case, it's usually preferred to take the parent of the one element that you want to observe. Usually use its parent, so that as soon as its parents 50% is visible, just go ahead and do the things that you want to do with that element. So we will just quickly get our video element. In this case we have our video element. We will just add one check that is if our video element is not undefined or anything. So once if we have our video element with us, we will just go ahead and observer dot observe. So this will now start observing. It needs the now which element needs to observe. So we want our video elements parent needs to be observed. So let's use dot parent element. Yep. So now this observer will go ahead and start observing. So by observing you mean let me give you an example. So this observer is nothing but like an like a kid continuously watching for a fruit on a tree and just waiting for it to fall. So it's like that. It's that simple. So this observer will come there and will just sit on and watching if the element if the element is in 50% view or not. If it's in 50% view, then just it will just go ahead and it will just go ahead and increase the is intersecting to true, that okay, so it's in 50% view, you can just go ahead and play this. As soon as it goes below 50% or anything, it will just go ahead and pause it. So that's what this whole observer just does. Now because we are using this intersection observer function, we need to write some cleanup function, because if any re-render or anything happen, this is now attached to that specific video element. But if there is any re-render or anything, the DOM elements may change, and in that case this might create a bug for us where it is observing to the previous DOM element was there, but because the state has unmounted, because you have maybe you have re-rendered in this case we don't have any dependency that we have passed. But usually when you create if you have multiple videos or something, you might re-render it depending on some state or anything that you pass. Then in that case this will be observing the old one, but it has been unmounted from the state. So to prevent that, we can just go ahead and write our cleanup functions for this. So let me just go ahead and write this cleanup function. So if our video element is there, then we can just use something called as unobserve to now just go ahead and don't observe this now, because this has been re-rendered, or we don't need to observe it now. So that's why we can go ahead and use unobserve above our parent element, the video element dot the parent element of it. So this will just in the cleanup function, it will just remove it will just unobserve the video element, and then we don't have any, and whenever if any re-renders or anything happen, then it will just go ahead and use our current observe, so that there won't be any bugs that gets created along with this. So now once we have all of this, we can now just go ahead and test this. So let's just quickly bring my UI here. Okay, so this is, let me reload it once again. So it is here, we can just go ahead. So this is playing, and as soon as I move, see, as soon as I am on 50%, it has stopped. But as let me just move, yeah, see, it plays here. It's paused, it's 50%, and now it's more than 50%, and our video starts to play. So this is how you can use intersection observer to create the play and pause for any of the section that you want, and this is not restricted to this only. You can just use this intersection observer to use anywhere you want to manage any conditions or anything of the scrolls. You can use this, and depending on the visibility of the section, you can handle multiple conditions of this. So now this is created. Let's go ahead and add those two icons here and work on the sliding animation that we have. So we can just quickly go ahead and create these two icons. So let me create one div, and let's create our because those two, let me open the UI as well. Okay, so we have two icons, one is home icon and one is some key icon here. Okay, and we just have to add some black kind of a background color to it. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's first create a div. We have our two icons inside of this, so let me use the icons. So we have one home outlined icon and one key outline, because we have one home icon and the key icon. So quickly use this too. Let's copy our home outlined icon. Okay, so this will be a single div because both of them are placed in a row. So let's just create two different divs for this. This will be for our home. So this will be our home outlined icon, and this will be our key icon that we have, key outlined icon. Let's just go ahead and our key outline icon. So we have both of those icons. We can just go ahead and add display flex so that they are in a row properly. We will just align them in the center as well. And let's just I'm just using inline styles here directly. Okay, we will just have a background color of, we will just go ahead and add it as black. And okay, let's just give it a padding of 10 px and border radius, let's just give 56 px for now. We will just manipulate these values as and when in the UI. Let's just copy the same styles for this. Usually we don't actually copy paste styles like this. What you can do is either create a different css file and then write a single style and then just pass the same class name to both of them. Or else if you want to use inline styles and don't want to copy paste the same code, what you can do is just create a style variable outside, and then let me just show you how you can do the same thing here. So we'll just create one const icon outline style. Now inside this we can just go ahead and add these styles that we want. We have our style. Now you can just directly use this icon style object here. So now this what does this helps us with, we can, if you want to do any changes or anything, we will just do it at a single place in the icon outline style, and that changes would be reflected on both the icons that we are using. We want the color, so we'll just go ahead and change the color of this to white. Let's copy this for our other icon as well. So we want this to be also white. Now this is actually placed above our video. So for this, let's first make our parent as relative so that it doesn't go towards HomeSection1. So this needs to be a relative position, and we'll directly use because we are already using style, we will directly go ahead and use position absolute in this case. Once we have position absolute, we will just add top as 0px. And now let's see how does it look in the UI. Okay, okay, so it is loaded. As you can see, it has we need them in the center, and it needs to be a bit like here somewhere in the center, and there needs to be a bit of a margin in between both of our icons that we have. Let me move to my HomeSection2. Okay, inside my HomeSection2, let's just quickly give them a margin. So from top bottom we don't want anything, because anyhow we will be using our top to move it towards more below and towards more center, and in between them in between left and right we want 10px. Yep. Okay, let me go ahead. Yep. So once you added this, we can go ahead and move it to bit center, so the position absolute that we have used. So from top, let's just use 50px. Okay, this looks good. We want it here. So what we can do is just use left 50%. Okay, and okay, let's just give this icon style some width and height actually. So we want it to be, let's just see, let me go ahead and add a comma. Okay, let's give it a 40 pixel. That's too big. 30 pixel. The 30 pixel looks good. Let's give it a height of 30 pixel. Okay, both of them looks good. And okay, because we added the margin inside. Okay, so this is, the naming is wrong. Okay, now it looks proper. Okay, so now we also want them in center, because as you can see they are not properly aligned in center. So here we will use one neat little trick of display flex and justify content center. As you can see now they are properly in center as well. And let's just use here left 40%, sorry 45%. Yep, now it looks properly in center and it looks good as well. Yep, on top is we are just given 50 px of from the top, and from the center it looks good. Yeah, it looks proper. Okay. Yep. Now we can go ahead and create our continuously moving text animation that we have. So yep, let's create that animation inside here, inside our animations. So we can create it as a running animation.js. Quickly go ahead and do this. Okay, so now we have our one running animation file. So we will just use our Framer Motion to repeat one linearly moving animation, and it will just continuously move whatever text will be passed in it. It will be continuously moving in the UI. So now we can just go ahead and we will pass the text to it. So we will just use, so running animation, we will just pass the text to this, and that text will be continuously moving whatever text that we pass. So yep, so we have our running animation component. Let's just import motion. So we'll go ahead and import motion from Framer Motion. So we have our motion imported. Let's just quickly go ahead and create our motion.div. So we have our motion.div. Inside this we will have our h1 tag, and the text we can just pass whatever text we will pass, that will be go inside this h1 tag. We will just give some basic styling to this tag. Let's just give it a color of white. It will have a font size, so let's just keep it pretty big. So we'll just use 44 pixel for this, and yep, that looks good. Now inside this motion.div we need to start adding our styles as well as our animation properties initially, because in this case we don't have any initial, because from start only we want to just show the animation. It needs to continuously animate. So what we can do is we will just use animate that we have, because this animation needs to be in the x direction. We want to continuously move, so in the x direction we will just pass that we want it from 100% to -100%. So basically now what we are doing is, in the animate function in the x direction, we are just giving it we are just saying that continuously move this h1 tag from this end towards the other end, and it will just go on and just repeat itself. So for repeating, what we will do is, inside after animate we will use our transition that we have. So we have this transition property from motion.div, and inside this there is something called as repeat that we can use, and we want this to be infinity. So continuously it will just repeat this animation in x direction. So we want that, and you can add one duration for this, so we'll just go ahead and add 15 for this. So it's pretty, we can manipulate this duration as and when we want. Actually what we can do is, let's just pass this duration in our prop only. So whatever whichever component will be using the running animation, we'll just pass this duration to this, depending on the need of that UI, and we'll just use the ease as linear, because this is a linear animation that we want. Okay, let's now give the style. Let me go ahead and add a style to this. So we want the display to be inline. So because this is a animation inline block, we are passing this inline block basically because we have an animate animation which is going from 100% to minus 100%, and it might break the UI. Sometimes it might go out of the bounds, so that's why, to prevent that, we will go ahead and use this inline block so that it stays in the parent elements width and height. And we'll also to prevent that as well, the parent that we are using above the motion.div, we will just use this overflow hidden so that the scroll bar is not visible in that case, and the white space, because we don't want to wrap or anything, we will just use no wrap for this. So now our running animation component is completed. Let's just go ahead and quickly use this in our home section 2. We will simply create one div. Let's import this. We can just go ahead and pass a text to this. Let me just copy the text. You can pass any text. I'm just passing some random text to this, and along with this we can just go ahead and pass a duration. Let's just pass 15 for this. There's a small duration till it just moves slowly in the like right to left direction. Now we want this to be shown above the video and more in the middle, so let's just use our position absolute for this. So we have our position absolute. Top we want 45%, and once we have from the top, we will just move it to 45%, just to make it look bit in center, because we have used a bigger font size, so that's why I'm not using 50% in this case. So because it would look a bit towards the down, so let's using 45%. We'll manage that 5% sentry value that we are using, like, to manage that properly. Along with this, we will just in the right, because we want to start from towards the very right, so that's why. And let's just give this a width of 100% as well. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and check how this looks. Okay, let me reload it, and as you can see, it's properly in center and it's moving very smooth. Let me reload it again, and as soon as it comes in view, our video gets played, and it's just continuously moving here. So our home section 2 is also completed, and now we can go ahead and start with our home section 3. Let's quickly take a look at our home section 3 UI. Okay, so in our home section 3 we have a background color. Okay, with the background color we just have this upper header section where we have just this simple text which is in flex with this small UI which is kind of like a filter of apartment, villas, or for rent. And for the cards as well, let's open our cards UI as well. Okay, yeah, so let me quickly, yes, yep. So on hover of our card, so we actually have a different cursor. Okay, so we have to actually change the cursor as well when we hover over these images, and as well as there is a slight animation of this image as well when we hover this card. So that image, the one that we have added in our home section 1, where the image just zooms in when you when as soon as user has loaded it. But in this case, when you hover over it, your image will zoom in and zoom out depending on our hover. And then we show this details. So in this details, there is an upper section, like a header section, where we have the name of the hotel. There is this arrow button. Then we have the price, okay, initial payment, plan, updated features, okay, completion date, and I guess this must be the place. Okay, so we have to actually create a card, a reusable component of cards. Okay, and then use an image, and all of this using our position absolute. We need to then add this details UI over this image, and then add the effects that we are that is needed. Okay, then let's hop on to our editor. Before starting our home section 3, we will just quickly add that slide animation to our home section 2 as well, how we have added it to home section 1, so that it is consistent to our website as well. So let's just quickly hop on to my VS Code. Okay, it's open here. Okay, so let us first start with our app.js. Okay, so inside our app.js, we want our home section 2 to have the same animation the way that we have for our home section 1. So we will just quickly go ahead and create our ref2. We'll just use the same way how we have using ref1, how we have done this in for home section 1. So we have this, let's just copy paste the same thing. We will just rename it to 2, and let's just copy paste this as well and rename this to 2. Let's use our scroll progress y2, and here we will just pass our ref2 for this. Okay, and we need to use this scale 2 as well. So we have our motion.div, which is our upper div, which is actually our reference parent div we will be using. So this will be our ref2. Then inside we will have our motion.div, which will actually contain our home section 2 that we are actually going to use. So let's just remove it from here, place it here, and here we want to add our animation. So let's use scale, and here we will use scale 2 for this, and just copy, we will just copy this, and okay, let's just paste this here. Okay, so now this is our parent div. I have just used this home section 2 again, so that there is more content to scroll to see the animation. So let's just look how in the UI how it looks. Let me reload it. And okay, I scroll it. Okay, I have it. I scroll it, and as you can see, the same animation is also happening for a section 2 as well. It looks pretty cool. Okay, so we can just go ahead and now create our home section 3. So first we will create our home section 3. Let's go ahead and create our home section 3.js. Let's use our RFC to get the basic code. Okay, so we have our home section 3. Okay, so first we have our header section. Inside header section we have the title as well as that filter section. So we will first go ahead and create a title. So okay, let's what we can do is, let's make this a bit reusable so that all of the code doesn't go in one place. So we will have our header section. Let's just use this directly. Okay, now our header section will be a div. Inside this we will first have our title. So we just create this div. This will be a h1 title, and the title is, we can just quickly go ahead and check. Okay, explore our property portfolio. Let's just use explore our property portfolio. Okay, so we have our h1 tag setup for the header section. Let's just you can also create our css file, home section, because there will be a lot of css that will be going on for our full home section. So let's just create this home section 3, quickly import it, import our home section 3.css. okay, it's imported. Let's use our function header section. Okay, so we have the call our header section as well. Now let's give this a name of, let's just give this our header section title. Okay, So our header section titles h1. Okay, we'll have a we won't pass color because anyhow we are using down a black. There is a background color of black on which we are using the white color for our text. So what we can do is directly to the parent we will give that color, the color of white for whichever text that comes inside it, and then we will use it instead of then passing it to each tag. So that's why I'm not writing directly a color here. We will just give it a font size of like 44 pixel and font weight of let's say 600. Okay, that should be more than enough. And what we can do is let's just name this class as HomeSection3 main class. HomeSection3 main container. Let's just name it as main container. Okay, we'll go ahead and quickly add that color as well. So let me quickly bring up that color. Okay, so copy it. So this is the background color. It's not purely black, so it's like a black but with like not purely pitch black. This color is there, so we will just use this color so that it looks pretty good with the UI as well. So and then we want everything inside this to have a color of white. So whatever text that goes inside this should have a white color, and if any of the text wants a different color, we can then go ahead and pass that to it. So this is also now done. We want one more thing with this. Okay, let's first just quickly take a look at how this looks on the UI. Okay, oh actually we haven't yet called this HomeSection3, so quickly just go ahead inside our app, and here we want our HomeSection3. Okay, as you can see. Okay, because this is now currently not extended, so because this will be extended towards below, so then this will go up, so that's why it's looking like this. And we have our Explorer Explorer property portfolio text. Let's create our the filter section as well along with this. Okay, let's go to HomeSection3. Okay, so we have our div. Let's just add a filter section. Okay, so we have our filter section. Inside this, let's just go ahead and let's first see the UI. Okay, so we have this 3 elements: apartments, villas, and for rent. There is a background color that's going on. Then there is a this is actually by default they have selected the 0th one. So actually we won't go ahead and create like 3 because we want this what we can do is we will create one single array. In that array we will use the one title which will be this apartments, villas, and for rent. This will be the titles, and we will use some ID associated with it, so that in case we want to add the functionalities of what is selected, we are pretty it is pretty easy for us to manage that conditions. And if we want to add more filters to it, we can just append them to the array, and the extra filters will be added in that case. So just for the reusability purpose, it's much better to create one single array of objects and then use it for our UI, instead of creating like hard coding 3 different divs for this. So okay, so we'll go ahead and create our filters. So this will be an array of objects. Let me quickly copy it down. Okay, yep. So I have these filters where I have this ID as 0, 1, and 2, the title as apartments, villa, and for rent. Now we can go ahead and directly use these filters for the UI. So we can just quickly type into this div. We will go ahead and use our map function for this. So filters.map to go through all the elements in the array. Inside this, for each filter, okay, so for each filter we want to return a div. Okay, So now we have the inside this map we have this filter value, which will be like a single element that we get from this. We can also get the index. So by default map also gives you the current index, which we can use to highlight that white color for the initial value. Now in this what we can do is quickly add one span, and this will be nothing but filter dot title. Okay, so we now if we go ahead and take a look at our UI, you can see apartments, villa and for rent are now printed. This so we have used a span for this. Now let's just style it accordingly. First let's arrange them. So let me give this a class name of header section main container and arrange them in a flex. So go ahead, use display flex. So now they are properly here. Let's just align them in center and use justify content space between. Okay, so now they are towards the end. This is towards the end. It looks good. Okay, let's complete this styling first. First we will go ahead and okay, let me name this as filters section container. Okay, so this is our outer container. So for outer container we need to just pass one color. So let's just use our background color. Let me copy down the background color. Okay, so this will be the background color that we will be using for this. Okay, all the elements inside it we want them in a flex because we want apartments for rent and villa all side by side. So we will use flex for this, and then we want a bit of a border radius. So let's just use 5px because it's not like fully curved. There is just a bit of a border radius that has been added. And let's just use our width to fit content, so that the color will be only till whatever the element is there, it will properly fit according to the width of it, instead of just expanding it towards the end. And we don't want to pass any specific value to it, because if we add more filters, it should just expand properly. So that's why we have used this fit content, that whatever because this is the parent element, so whatever the children, how many children are there, it will just expand according to it. So that's why we have added this fit content to it. Okay, so we have this section as well. Let's take a quick look. Okay, so it looks good. Apartments, villa for rent. Now let's just for our each filter go ahead and style it. Use a class name. Okay, we'll just name it as each filters. And for our each filters, so our each filter okay okay, so instead of directly adding it here, what we can, because we want to add some conditional statement to it, so let's just directly do it here only using inline style, so that we are able to add those conditions that are needed upon, because we want that the 0th index should have a background color of white, and all the other index doesn't need that color. It just needs to be the transparent color that is there. So what we can do is, for this can go ahead and background color. So if our index is 0, then in that case just use this white color, else just keep it transparent. So we have our background color. Okay, so our first element has the background color. Then we also want to use the same thing for our color. So if the index is 0, then in that case use a black color, because we want the text to be of black, else just keep it transparent. Okay, then we want each of them to have some width, because they are too close to each other. So let's just give them 100px as a width to each of them, so that there's a bit of a gap in between them. And because now we have added width, we want each element to be in the center of of 100 because we have given it 100px. So let me first show you how it looks. So let me add this as white instead of transparent. Okay, so this is how it will look. So this is now, because we have given it 100px, all of them are having 100px of you know, distance in between them. So now, but we want each of them to be properly to be aligned in the center. So let's just go ahead and use our display flex and justify content center, and now they are properly aligned. They have properly aligned themselves towards the center. Once this is done, let's just give them some padding. Let's add 10 px padding. Okay, it looks good. And also some border radius. So let's just go ahead with 5 px only. And yep, it looks good. Our apartments, the 0th one has the white color. Villa and for rent are also there. Okay, looks good. Let's see the UI as well. Okay, looks good. We need to add some padding, some internal padding to this. So what we can do is, our main container, we will go ahead, add a padding. So from top to bottom, let's just add 30 px, and from left and right, let's just use 10 px for now, just to see how it looks. Okay, it looks good. So from top, okay, 30, let's just increase it by more, like by 10, and from side let's make it 20. Okay, so let's just increase it by 10, so 40 and 20, and now it looks proper. Okay, so there is 40 from above, from below, and side we have 20. It looks good as well. And let's just add our animations as well to each of this section. So for our explore section, we will go ahead and use the, we can go ahead and use our ascend animation. Okay, the ascend animation, because for all the other titles we have also used this ascend animation, so we can go ahead and use this as well. We'll quickly go ahead and use our ascend animation, pass our children. Let's just use this. Okay, let me first quickly have a look at it. It looks good. Let me reload it. Yep, it looks good. And for our filter section, we can go ahead and use our wipe animation. Let's use our children. Okay, let me copy all. Yes, let's just copy this, pass it to our children, and let's just give some duration as well. Let me give it 10 seconds of duration. Now let's see this. Okay, let me reload it, and it looks good. Okay, so our wipe animation is actually moving it toward. So in our wipe animation, okay, so because we are using justify content and there is a full amount of width for it to move, that's why it's moving towards, you know, towards the very end. What we can do is we can quickly wrap this inside a div. Let's go ahead and wrap this inside a div, and this would solve our issue of that, you know, the animation is moving towards the end. So let me quickly show you the UI now. Let us reload it, and now as you can see, okay, because we have passed a duration of like 10 seconds, so let's just quickly make it like 5. Okay, it's still slow. Let's just use like 2 seconds for this, so that it's pretty quick. And yeah, this looks now much better. Okay, so our header section is now complete. Let's just go ahead and create our cards. Okay, so let's start creating our explore card. Okay, let me, inside my source, we will just create a different file of explore card as a component and directly use that instead of, you know, creating a function here, because in case if we need it somewhere down the line, we will be directly using that explore card only. So let me just create one file, explore card.js. Okay, so we have our explore card. Let me quickly open the UI as well for our card. So we actually have an image, we have a different type of cursor when you hover over it. Okay, then there is a header section and details. Let's first create the card. and then we will create the above section that is coming above it. So what we can do is inside the same explore card, we will add all of these details, and then we'll pass down these details as an object, as an object to each of the card, because each of the card will have different details, different price, installment plan, name, and everything. So we will create one array of objects, a temporary object. Then from that array we will call our explore card component, and inside it we will use details as a prop, and then pass that object inside the details, so that the details can be used to show all of this that we are seeing on the screen, along with the image as well, so that we don't have to, we can create multiple cards, as many as we want, and it can be handled that way. So let's just quickly move to our explore card JS. So let's start by creating our motion.divs, because anyhow we will be having that animation of as soon as we hover over it, the image just scales in. So let me import motion as well from Framer Motion. So we have our motion. Okay, let's create our first div. So let me create our motion.div. Okay, so inside motion.div we will have our image, motion.image. Okay, so we first will have our image. Inside our image we will need our source. So let's just quickly, for now let me just add a temporary source so that we can see the changes. Then we will just get this source directly from the object that we will pass in our explore card. So actually we will be passing it one details object. This details object will give us the source and all the required details that needs to be shown on each of the card, and we can directly get it from here. For temporary purpose we will just fill these details, and create our UI first, and then we will create this details object and use it as we want. So we have our motion.image. Inside motion we will just add, let me quickly add an alternate for this, because in case the image fails to load, we will just show this explore. Let me add some style to this. I'm just using inline styles here. We can use a CSS for this, but this will be, instead of creating a different CSS for this, I will directly add inline styles for this. Okay, so let's just give it a width of 100%, because we want whatever the parent width that we are going to set. That's why we will just give it a, and this is because there might be scaling and everything that might happen, so that's why we will give a fixed width and height to our parent, the parent div that we have, and let it expand the image, let it expand with the width and height of 100%. So width, height as well 100%. Okay, so we have that. We need the object fit property so that pixels doesn't break, so we'll use object fit cover so that it can expand to whatever width and height we give to the parent without breaking the pixels. And we need a border radius of 22px. Okay, so it looks good. So we have our image. Then what we can do is, okay, let's just give our parent some style as well. Okay, so first thing is we actually want to scale this image as we hover over it. So there is using Framer Motion, there is something called as while hover. So here when the user is hovering over this div element, what should be the action that needs to happen here? So while hover we want it to scale, so let's just scale it 1.02. We can change this as well as we want. So currently let's keep it 1.02, and we want a transition, and let's give it a transition of ease out. Okay, and we need one duration for this as well, so let's just give it 0.3, like 300 millisecond duration. Okay, so we have our duration, we have our hover over this image, the thing that needs to happen over it, and let's just give this whole image the div, the most parent div that we have. so that we give a fixed width and a height to our image, because we want to show like 2 to 3 images in a row and all of them should move there. So let's just give that styling as well. So we want to keep this as position relative, because down the line we have to show details which are on top of this image, so we will need to use position absolute. So we will keep this parent div as the relative position, so that it doesn't go out of bounds from it. So let's just keep this position relative. We need to add some margin, so let's just add 20px from all sides. We will give it a width of for now we will just give it 30 view width. So I have not used pixels here because we don't want to hard code it. For smaller screens we want the card to go a bit small, that's why I'm using the width of 30 view width. So VW is view width for this. Height we will use our around 85. We will change this according to our as we open the UI, then we can manipulate this height, but for current usage we will keep it as 85 view height. And then we have a border radius that we need. Let's keep it as 22px. So we have our border radius as well. Now there is one more thing, we need to give it a overflow as hidden, so that while it scales it shouldn't properly break. So we'll just we will give this overflow hidden property, so that it is the image and the div that we have inside this, where we are using this scale, it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to show any cursor any scroll bars or anything, and it doesn't need to break. So that's why we are using this overflow hidden property here. We can also we also need to change the cursor that we have. So let's just use this cursor property, where we can use this URL and pass this any image or anything that we want. So in my public folder I have this cursor.png, so it's just a basic cursor that I have downloaded, and we can use this directly. So we'll just use this cursor.png and a fallback image. So auto is nothing but if in case this png fails to load or something happens, we are giving it as a fallback of auto, that whatever cursor that we have, just show the default cursor in case if this cursor.png fails to load. So we have that as well now. Okay, it looks good. Let's just see how it looks. Let me call this explore card. So we have our header section, below it we will have our explore card as well. Okay, so we have it. Let me open it. Okay, so this is how our explore card will look. Let me hover it. As you can see, there is this slight animation, and you can see this cursor change as well. So there is this cursor change as well as there is slight animation, and it looks good. Yep. Okay. So now while hover, we want to show the details above this image, the above header section that we have. Let me show the image as well. So we have these details of the name. There is this small arrow that is there, and then all of these details which only comes when we hover over this image. So let's just add those things as well. Okay, let's go into explore card. So we have our image. Now let's just move ahead and create our div, which will contain all of that details. So let's just go ahead and create our motion.div. Inside this motion.div, we are using motion.div because we want to add that while hover property over this. So that's why I'm using motion.div because this will be the whole div that is shown above the image that we have. And inside this we want to create. Okay, so first we will be having one header section, and then let's divide it like this. So what we will do is we will first create this header section. Okay, then we will keep this as a footer section, and inside this inside this footer section there are two sections. One where we have this this Dubai Marina as a name, and all of these small cards, the small details of card below it. So let's first go ahead and create this header section. Okay, so inside this I will just go ahead and call header section, and let's create this over here. Okay, so we will create our header section. Okay, so this will give us a div, and this div will contain our name as well as that arrow that we have. So this name actually has Azure Heights and luxury residences. Okay, so okay, what we can do is we'll quickly use two divs inside this. First will be for the name, so let's just use h2. and give this a name. So let's just keep it Azure Heights. And okay, let us add the full name, luxury residences. So residences, and then we will using the width using the width of this, we will give it a maximum width so that that luxury residences goes below it, instead of just, or we can show the same in a single line as well. So instead of creating two different for a name, it can be a big name as well, so that's why we will do it that way. And then let's create our icon. So we need the, okay, so let me first pull up the icon. Okay, let me quickly go ahead and pull our material icons here. Okay, so we have our material icon. Let's see for our arrow. Okay, so we need this arrow outwards. Okay, let's copy this. Okay, so we have our arrow outward icon. Let's use it inside this div. Inside this we need our arrow outward icon. We have it. Okay, and this header section is called below, so you'll be able to see this as well. Okay, let's just go ahead and, okay, so now this motion.div, we have our header section inside this. Let's just add some styling to this. So we'll quickly go ahead and make this as position absolute, because we want this div to be above the image so that all the details stay above the image that we have. So we have position absolute, top we want 0, okay, left also we want 0, right 0, and bottom as well 0. So from everywhere we are just keeping, because we want the whole top to bottom, all of the things should be covered above that image, because we will be adding also a bit of a black kind of a color above it, which will be like a very low opacity black background color that we add, so that everything is properly, the text is properly visible, because the image might be a bit light in color or a bit dark in color, which might hamper the user experience while he's seeing the text there. So that's why we will add that bit of a dark kind of a color, which is like with a very low opacity. Okay, so we will just have a display flex, because everything should be in proper order. So flex with the flex direction of a column, and we will need add this flex direction column. For this we want justify content to be in center. Okay, let's keep it, because this is anyhow the whole above image we have, so that's why let's keep it center. Align items to be in center. Okay, we have that. Now let's just add a background color. Okay, let me copy the color that we need. Okay, so this will be the color. Okay, you can manipulate its opacity by changing this last 0.2 to 0.13, depending on how you want that, how much visibility you want with that color. Anything inside this should have a white color above it. Any text inside this should have the font color to be white. Opacity initially would be 0 only on hover we want it, so let's keep the opacity as 0. All the text needs to be so let's just keep till here, and let's just add some padding as well. Keep the padding as 20px. Okay, so this also looks good now. Okay, now we can just go ahead and add our while hover. So while hover we want the opacity to be 1. Okay, so we have our opacity. We want to add some transition, so let's just go ahead and add a transition duration of 0.3. 300 milliseconds should be pretty good enough for this. And let's see how does this look. Okay, yep, so as soon as we hover it, you can see it looks pretty good. Okay, now let's just go ahead and, oh okay, because we have added this align item center and justify content center, I think so we need to, oh, so actually we need a space between for this, and let's just remove this one, because we will be having two sections, header section as well as the footer section, and both of them needs to be like there needs to be all the space that is available in the card needs to be taken by both of them. So that's why we have used this space between. So we will be actually having our another section here, which will be footer section. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so we'll be having our footer section. Let us just create a dummy const footer section. Let's keep it like this. First, let's complete our header section. So we have this, and let's just complete the styling of this section. Okay, so let me go ahead and add some style to this. This will be display flex because they are in row. Align items center. Align items center. And you want one more thing is justify content space between, so that both the Azure Heights name as well as the icon stay as far apart as they can. For our arrow icon, we actually need a white color, so our background color will be white. We will be giving it some padding of, let's say, 10px. Okay, we need a width, so let's just keep the width as 50px, keep the height as 50px, and let's just go ahead and okay, we can do this thing as well. So we have a width, height, we will give it a border radius of like 46px, and we want the content inside it as well to be in center, so we will just use justify content center along with the display flex. And let's just add a color to our icon, so we want it to be black, so let's just use this. Okay, so now let's see how it looks. It's actually pretty big. Let me reload it as well. Okay, so this is pretty big. Let's just keep it as 30 and 30. Let's see how it looks. Now it's proper. So the icon looks proper. Let's just Azure Heights, let's give it a max width so that it doesn't go that like if you passed a good amount of like a big name, it shouldn't overlap with the arrow that we have. So let's just go ahead and give it a maximum width that it can take. Let's just give 150 for now. Okay, sorry, let's just give it like 350, and 350 actually looks good. Okay, it looks good as well. So we hover over it, we see our above section. Yep, it looks good. And also we will now create our footer section as well, so we can go ahead and create. So our header section is now completed. Let's go ahead and create our footer section. So for footer section, okay, we need actually two divs. Okay, and then we will have this small card like things with the names and everything. Okay, so for this what we can do is we can create one small detail card inside this explore card only as a function, and then reuse that for all of this, because it just have a title and the name with all the font details as same. So we can reuse this and we will create this small card as well. So let's just go ahead and first create that. So we will be returning one div. So this is our parent div that we have. Okay, so we will have two sections inside this. First is our the Dubai Mall section, and the other one is the one which will be called the whole small cards that we have. For this, okay, we will have a simple icon as well as the name. So let me go to our MUI icons. We need location. Okay, let's use this one, location icon. So we can go ahead and take our location icon. Okay, so we have our location icon. We want once, just use a p tag for this. This will be Dubai Mall. Okay, let's give them some styles. Okay, so this needs to be display flex, align item center. Okay, that should be good. So the Dubai Mall and the location icon would be in a bit close to each other. And for the p tag we have it, we will just give this some margin right of, let's say, 10 pixels, so that the text and the icon are not too close. And then we need the color as well for this to be black. Okay, and we need one background color for this, so let's just go ahead and add a background color, and we can use a sky bluish color for this. So go ahead with, let's just add for sky blue for now, and then we can manipulate that color by seeing it in our UI. On our UI, okay, so we need to actually adjust its width and height properly. Okay, so we have our footer section actually, oh okay, because we are scaling it up and we are using the space between, that's why it's not properly visible to us. So what we can do is, we will just, our footer section, we will just give a margin bottom of, let's say, 100 px for now, just to see how it looks. Okay, and let's just keep it as 50. Okay, and it looks good as well. Okay, because we are using justify content inside this case, so that should look pretty good. Okay, let us first complete the whole section, and then if the animation is still lagging for us, what we can do is, instead of using justify content, we will directly use the position absolute for this and keep it in bottom using that. Actually, we should do it now only. Let's just remove this justify content space between from here. So this is how it will look. Now we want this to be below, so what we can do is, just go here, style, we need position absolute, and we need it in bottom. Let's use 10 px for now. Okay, let us just keep it as 50 px. Okay, yep, it still looks good. Okay, let's keep it like this. Okay, and one more thing we can do is, we want it here, so now this positioning we can handle it from our footer section, but whatever we create will be starting it from here. So okay, so when we create those small cards as well, that will start actually from here, and this will go above it, so that's good. So we have this, and let's just, okay, let me first style this properly. So we will also have a border radius of 22 pixel. Okay, that's too much actually, so let's just keep it 12 pixel for now. Okay, looks good. Let's give this a bit of a styling. Let me see how it looks in the UI. So actually it's in black color, and there is a bit of a transparency that they have given in this color. Okay, so let's add, and there is a padding as well. We actually missed out on padding, so let's just give it a padding of 10 pixels from all sides. And let's not add the color directly here. What we can do is, we will give the color here only directly, and we want it to be black, so let's just use this color. Okay, and we actually have a spelling mistake here, so it's Dubai Mall. Okay, so we have this. Okay, what we can do is top bottom, actually we will keep it like this, and top bottom, let's keep it 8 pixels. Yep, this looks good. Okay, we have this with from all the other sides. Yep, so this thing is there. So let's create that small cards which are below. So what we can do is, we will create one reusable function for this. Let me name it as footer cards. Okay, so inside our footer card, okay, let me quickly show the UI. So we have this kind of a white color. Above it we have one small title which is in gray, and then the value that we like, from 290k, from 10 years, this $30,000, all of these values, and there are icons as well. So for this we will just keep 4 only with the text, because icons you can add, because this will be a reusable function, so you can pass that and do it. But for all the other cards, just to keep it there, we will just keep 4 of those: the price, installment, initial payment, and completion date. And features, instead of icons, we will just show some text features if you want. So let's just quickly create this reusable function. So inside our div, what we can do is we will have a simple span, which will be, let's say for now, temporary title, and then we will have our text, which will be like an h2, and let's just from 290k, it is there, right? From $290k, and it's price, right? So let's just name this as price only. Okay, so we have this. Let's style this. So we want a background color, let's just use white. Okay, we have a background color. We need a width, let's skip 150px, and let's just give height of okay, we can give it a 150px only. Let's keep it like that, 150 by 150px box. We will have our border radius, so let's keep it 22. Okay, it looks good. Let's call this footer card, and see, also we will need is the display. We need the display to be flex, and the direction of flex to be column, because they are like in a column, one below the other. So we'll have a flex direction column. Okay, we will use all the space so that they can move whatever the space is in between there, so they are at a maximum space apart from available. So we'll just use space between. So now we have our footer cards. Let's just quickly see this, how it looks, and let's just use the color as well. So whatever is inside this will be having a black color. Let me use our black color. Okay, so inside our this div, we want to actually see around 4 or 5 cards. So for now I will just quickly create a temporary arrow to map. Let me use one. Let's just, okay, so we have 4 cards. We will map around, we'll get the items out of it, and we will return our footer card for this. Okay, let's see it in action, how it looks. Okay, so we have our cards. We have the price from 290k. Okay, looks pretty good. Okay, now let's just align them properly. So the div that we are going to, that is going to contain all of this card, we will just use display flex. So all of them are in flex. Okay, all of them are in flex. Let's just, for our Dubai mall, we need to give it a width. So let's just keep it like 150px. Okay, it's too much, I think so. Let's just keep it 130. Yeah, it also looks good. Okay, so we need some space in between these as well. Okay, so what we can do is, inside each of our footer card, they will give a margin of like 5px. Okay, so they have a proper margin here as well. When to actually extend our the width which we have given to this outer card, we need to actually make it a bit bigger to accommodate all of this, because these texts are going to be big. And let's also change this to a h4 kind of a tag. Okay, and let's just keep this as h3. Okay, let's keep this as a p tag instead of this. Okay, that makes much more sense. Okay, and we need some space in between these two, so let's just give a margin top of 10px. Okay, so we have a bit space here. We have all of our cards as well. Okay, that also looks good. Okay, and okay, so we actually need to crunch down the space in between. The height that we have given is 150. Let's just bring it to 100. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's just add some padding as well. Okay, let's just keep it 5px. Okay, it's too. What we can do is top down, let's keep it 5px and 10px from left and right. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's see. Okay, I think so. The width, we can also crunch down on the width as well. Let's keep it 120. Okay, that's also look good. Okay, so the only thing is now left is just need to increase the width of our explore card itself. So this we can keep it as a 40 view width. Let me reload it again, and let's just keep it as 35. Okay, let me reload it. We need to actually bring our. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so the thing is, because we are using our position for this, we need to actually bring our, where is my footer section? Yes, we need to increase this to like 90px. Let's just keep it as 120. Okay, we need a bit more. Let's keep it to 150. 200. Okay, so 200 is the one which actually settles down for this amount of height and width. Looks good. Okay, so we have our this small cards as well along with this. Okay, so over and all, our explore card is now ready. We just need to because on each page we have like two of the cards in a row, so we need to now use this explore card component that we have properly now created, and we will use this in our home section 3 to properly arrange them, so that each row has like, there should be one more card here, and as soon as you scroll there are multiple cards there. So now we can arrange that as well. Okay, so let me open my VS code. Let's go to home section 3. Here we need multiple cards, so let's just use them. So we need actually the details, the basic temporary object that we are going to pass. So let's also, let me bring that up as well. Okay, so I have created one dummy one. Copy that and bring it up here. Okay, so this is our dummy explore details that we have. It has ID, just in case if you want to add some more functionality to it. So I just kept an ID. Let me just update them. Okay, so there are 4 of these details that we have. Each of them have name, so the name that you see on the top, the location, the below location that we created. Then there is a footer details. Footer details is nothing but the price, the each 4 card that we created, that has some price, installment plan, initial payment and completion date, and this demo data is there, so we can use these explore details as well. So what we can do is, let me go ahead and map over this explore details now. We will get the data out of this, and for each of them it will return me. Let's just quickly copy this div. Let's just copy this because each of them will anyhow return me explore card only. So let me this return, and let's just wrap this whole thing inside a div, and that is because we want the 2 of the cards in a row. So we will use our display. We need display flex because and we want to wrap them, so we will just use flex wrap. So using this wrap functionality, what will happen is it will take only the 2 of them will take the space, because of the amount of width and height that we have given. It will usually help for it to only get 2 of those cards in a place. As soon as the third card doesn't have enough space, it moves down to the next section. We can also add the justify content center, and now let's look at how our UI looks. As you can see, the cards are there, the 4 cards that we have created. Okay, now let's pass these details. So we have these details, let's give them the data that is needed. Let's go into explore card. So we have our details. Let's try to use this. So first, in our header section, this will be coming from our details now. So we'll use our details dot name. Let me reload it. So as you can see, each of the cards have now different name that has been passed. Okay, it looks good. Let's just go ahead and okay, so our header section part is done. Let's go to our footer section. Inside our footer section we have this name. Let's just use our details dot location, if I'm not wrong. Let's see if it's location only, and yes, it's location. So we have okay, so our location is also now coming up. It looks good. Okay, we have our location, and now this will be actually our details dot the details dot details, I think so. The footer details is the name, so it's footer details, on which it will run over through. So we have four of these details. So let's pass this item as well to our footer card, so it will receive this item. And our footer card, so this will be actually our item dot title that we are going to pass, and this will be our item dot subtitle that is going to be passed. Okay, so we have installment plan, initial plan, completion date. Here as well the same thing, price, initial plan, completion date. Okay, each of them have different price and everything. We can actually move this. Let's just give this padding at 8 px from top and bottom. Okay, and let's just crunch down its height to 90. Okay, I think so, because we missed one thing, is display. Oh, sorry, we added it. Just a minute, and let me just keep this to 5 only now. Okay, let's just remove this padding first. Let me see. Okay, so they are not properly arranged because this we actually changed to be 100. Let's now add a padding of 5 px from all side. Okay, let's keep it 8 px from other two sides. Okay, we actually need to add more padding. Let me see the UI. I think so it looks okay from the UI as well. It looks pretty much the same from the UI. We have our price from, because we have added this extra is coming because we have this p tag giving default margin. So if we remove that, you can see they have now shifted up. There is also this extra margin inside h3 as well. Let's just remove that as well. Now you can see both of them are properly at the end. Now we can increase this to 10 px to properly see that. We can also keep this to 80. Okay, looks good. Let's just keep this 10 px from both the sides. Yep, now it looks good. Let's just remove that sky blue color and give it a different color. Okay, so it's in our, this is our footer section, this is our details dot location. Okay, and this is our background color which we have given. Let's remove and give this color, and now see this. Okay, now it looks pretty good. Let's do the same for our, because it's not purely white that we have. Okay, so we can add a different color for it as well. Let me quickly bring up that color. Okay, let's add that white color. So here where we have used our background color, let me copy. Let's use this instead of white. And also let's use this color for our, this sky blue color that we have for the location one that we have created, and we will just reload it, and it looks pretty good, pretty much the same as to how they created in the UI. It looks good. Okay, so here there is one issue. As you can see, as soon as I hover out of this, this section just goes up and then it becomes invisible. So we can just fix this by quickly going here. And this is happening why? Because we are actually scaling it and we are using position absolutes. So because scaling and position absolute when you are doing and because we have given it in a display flex and a direction of column, it actually doesn't work the way that we want to work. Because it has been scaled, the height and the width, the height and the dimensions change. That's why when the scaling it scales out, it actually goes up and becomes invisible. So for this to fix, we need to actually fix its height. So let's just fix its height to give it 200 view height. And now if you can see, if I go out, it stays in place. Let me reload it as well once and see, and it properly works. So the issue is now fixed. Yep. So this was our home section 3. It is now completed. So few like one of the thing as an homework you can guys try is, as you can see in the UI, this Dubai Marina section is on the right side of the section. So you can try to how you can try some CSS changes and add it there, as well as what you can do is on hover we are actually showing these details, but what you can do is instead before hover you can show this the title below, and as soon as I hover over it, change its position to look the UI in this way. So these two things you can try on your own. Thank you everyone for watching till the end. In the next part we are going to create home section 4, where we will create this beautiful UI. In this we will create running animation for these numbers as well as this profile section that we have. If you have any doubts, please comment below. Like, share and subscribe our channel. Press the bell icon to get notified for the next part.